Hi there, and welcome to Grim Wit with Dimwits. I'm Blondie.
And I'm T.
And this is still December, so it's still our Grim Bits of Coal.
I wish y'all could see how big her eyes got.
Trying to express myself, apparently, with my eyes.
Your eyes got big, but your voice stayed the same. I was like, that's creepy.
What? That doesn't translate?
No, it didn't translate well at all.
So I have to say, I'm really glad that you came out and we got to celebrate my birthday and got to do my birthday present, which was the float pods.
Right. Float therapy.
Float therapy. It was a lot of fun. An hour floating in 200 gallons of water and 1,200 pounds of Epsom salt.
Right. And I like how you say it was a lot of fun because you do absolutely nothing when you're in there. But sometimes that is exactly what you need. First time I've ever done it, and it was amazing.
It was. And what's scary is when you're in water and you relax so much that you start to fall asleep and you do the little body jerks, waking yourself up. You're like, what? What? Where am I?
I like how even in the float pod, we show how different we are. You did it totally one way. I did it totally the other way. I turned the light out, no music, fully immersed my ears and everything else, and closed the pod completely and just total silence. And you did music and the light on.
I did music, the light on. I had used the pillow for a little while.
Oh, yeah, she used the pillow. I used nothing.
I did close the pod all the way, but it totally different. Yes.
I know. It was like different to the core. But it was great. If anybody's thinking about doing it, do it. It was amazing.
You just have to follow the little instructions and make sure you shut your mind off. That was the big one.
That's right. And it feels good to shut our minds off once in a while.
I'm just afraid one of these days it's not going to turn back on.
I think people might think we shut our minds off during the show. Sometimes that's what I think.
Hello, you're not supposed to tell people.
I think it comes through, though.
So it is December, so we do have another Christmas episode.
Yes, we do. Another holiday horror. Yeah. Like, wow, when is this going to stop? It's Christmas, people. Everybody settle down. Let's try to make it through December and save the horror for January. I mean, come on.
That's a great way to start a new year.
Right. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
It's pretty gruesome, and it's actually very sad.
Aren't they all?
Yeah, they are. But, and I guess they're all sad for different reasons. This one's really sad, though.
Okay, bring it on.
All right, let the grim begin. This is a story about a beautiful, loving family that had an unthinkably horrible thing happen to them for absolutely no reason at all, except for that a very disgruntled, narcissistic, and ugly person made a lot of bad decisions and ultimately did not get his self-centered way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an opening.
It was an opening, so pretty much all I said was this guy's a jerk. 43-year-old Sylvia Ortega was a loving mother with 3 beautiful children. She was a very kind and thoughtful person and worked as an administrative assistant at a floral business. Although her previous relationships hadn't worked out, her family was always very loving and supportive of her. Her parents, 80-year-old Joe, also known as Papa Joe, and 70-year-old Alicia, were a very sweet couple who had met as teenagers, fell in love, and stayed in love for well over 50 years.
That's almost unheard of anymore.
I know. And I think it was 53, but I didn't put that in there because I wasn't sure, but that's a long time. And yes, they had set the bar high for marriage, and Sylvia just desired the loving relationship that they had shown was possible. Don't they just sound like just the nicest people?
And hello, Papa Joe. Who doesn't love Papa Joe?
I know. I love that already. Sylvia was introduced to a guy named Bruce Pardo. Bruce seemed like a nice guy. He was funny, well-liked, handsome, and had established a great career as an engineer. Bruce could be a bit of a handful, but according to a mutual friend, all he needed was a good woman to help him settle down. The friend thought they'd be a great match, and they were set up on a date. When Sylvia met Bruce, she found him very charming and a lot of fun. He definitely seemed like a catch. Things got serious pretty quickly. They became engaged and then married in January of 2006.
How long did they date before they got married?
I didn't write that down. I don't remember, to be honest with you, but I think it was pretty quick. I don't even think it was years, if I remember right.
Huh. Well, hello, settling down with a good woman.
Yeah, and he's a catch. She probably didn't want him to get away. So, I mean, understandable, but you really got to get to know people before you marry them, as this story will prove.
Will reveal.
Right. Bruce and Sylvia started off great, and they were always having fun. They purchased a beautiful home in Montrose, California, where they happily settled in together. But shortly after they married, Sylvia started to see red flags. Bruce began to change and became moody. He was not the loving and generous guy he made himself out to be. They started arguing about a lot of things, but mostly about finances, because Bruce refused to support her children financially in any way. He told her that supporting her kids was her responsibility, not his. He also denied her any access to his bank accounts to ensure that his money was spent his way, and that was pretty much on him.
Didn't you say there was some sort of narcissist going on here?
Yeah.
Narcissism going on here?
Yes, and yes. This was obviously very hurtful to Sylvia, as she only made about $30,000 per year, while Bruce made over $120,000 per year. She was seeing a different side of her new husband, and she didn't like it. During their marriage, Sylvia became very close to Nancy, Bruce's mother. Nancy ended up disclosing that although Bruce told Sylvia he had no children, he actually had fathered a son with a previous girlfriend. His mother went on to say that when Bruce's son was 13 months old, he was left in his father's care. But Bruce was busy watching TV, and the 13-month-old crawled outside and fell into a swimming pool. Bruce eventually found his son and pulled him out of the water, but by the time he got him to the hospital, this poor baby had already suffered brain damage and would spend the rest of his life as a paraplegic.
Okay, that's awful. What could he have been watching that was so important he couldn't watch his child?
I hate to come down on people like that. You know he didn't do it on purpose, but still, again, your selfishness, you just didn't take the time to watch your baby the way you should have. So
and there's just so many things going on. Where was he that his child could crawl away from him, out into the yard?
How did he open a door, a gate, whatever it was? Like, it couldn't have been seconds. It had to be a while.
Right.
So
that's just, it's maddening.
It is, man. And we're not there, and it's hard to place blame even for a jerk like this. But yeah, something happened.
Okay, you can say what you want. I'm placing blame.
All right, cool. I'm going to support that.
Thank you.
When Bruce found out that his son, now check this out. When Bruce found out that his son would forever be physically and mentally disabled, he abruptly abandoned his son and his girlfriend Elena, the child's mother. He then outright refused to assist financially with the baby's medical bills or anything else to support them. And this was not due to a lack of money. As an engineer, he was making a very good salary. He was just a despicable human and a horrible and irresponsible father with zero conscience.
That's awful.
I mean, how do you do that? Yeah, there's guilt and I'm just going to play with your emotions. But then you literally walk away and go, not my problem.
He's broken now and I don't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah. Not the son I signed up for, but oh yeah, it's my fault. Elena was desperate and actually had to sue Bruce's homeowner's insurance just to get what money she could to help pay medical bills for their son, which had amounted to over $350,000. But the insurance only paid out $100,000, leaving her with $250,000 still due for the bills.
And he didn't offer to pay any of that.
Nope, he just went on with his merry way. But as the child's father, and being that it was his negligence that led to the unfortunate event, Bruce never contributed even 1 red cent. In fact, following this tragedy, cold-hearted, miserly Bruce went on with his life and completely erased his ex and their child, as if they never existed. Then Bruce had the audacity to claim his son as a dependent on his tax returns for a tax break. This guy takes douchebag to the extreme level.
I think douchebag is too nice.
It's just ridiculousness on top of ridiculousness on top of ridiculousness. And I'm being nice when I say that. Sylvia also found out that Bruce had been engaged before. He and his fiancée had planned a very lavish country club wedding, followed up with an expensive honeymoon in Tahiti. Bruce's fiancée had paid for the wedding and honeymoon, with Bruce promising to contribute after the marriage. But on the wedding day, while everybody waited at the church, including his bride, Bruce never showed up. He had decided not to get married. Instead, he chivalrously cleaned out his fiancée's bank account, and with over $3,000 of her hard-earned money, he took himself to Palm Springs to party for a few days and didn't tell anybody. You know, lots of people get cold feet. That's reasonable. But this almost looks like some extravagant joke that he played in order to take all her money and go on vacation. I mean, he's really unbelievable.
He sounds more like a scammer to me.
Yeah, it does sound kind of scammy. Wow. No heart, this guy.
How come when he meets these women, you don't get the thing like you get on your phone that says scam risk? When you get all those phone calls?
Those people should be chipped.
That's right.
They really should.
You know, like when dogs have the chips in their necks, you can scan them.
Right. You get near, it starts beeping, beep, beep, beep. Go back off, back off.
Step away.
Step away. You don't want none of that. Sylvia was very bothered to hear about what kind of man her husband truly was, and this caused her to be distant toward him. Understandably so.
You think?
One day while Sylvia was at a family function with her children and without Bruce, she returned home to find all of her and her children's belongings thrown onto the driveway. He had cold-heartedly kicked her and the kids out of the house. Sylvia tried to reason with him and asked if she and the kids could just stay until the school year was out. It was already March, and she was only asking to stay until May. But Bruce refused and kept her and the kids locked out.
What is wrong with this man?
He's something else. So Sylvia moved back home and filed for divorce. Good for her. During the divorce proceedings, Sylvia was awarded her diamond wedding ring, some of the household furniture, and the family dog named Saki, who Bruce was supposedly very fond of. Bruce was awarded the beautiful home and their cars, but was ordered to pay spousal support to Sylvia in the amount of $1,785 per month, which totally pissed him off.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what he deserves.
He deserves more than that. When she received her first check from him, it bounced. The following month, he sent her another check and then quickly put a stop payment on it. He was also ordered to pay her a $10,000 lump sum, and not surprisingly, he never did. But what he did do was complain about how much money he had to pay when essentially he paid her absolutely nothing. But he kept telling everybody she was taking him to the cleaners. Bruce was very bitter about the money and the divorce, so he came up with a plan.
He was bitter about the divorce, but he kicked him out?
Yeah, he kicked her out.
What was the ultimate goal of kicking them out if he didn't want divorce?
I don't know. Here's another crazy we're not going to make sense out of.
Wow. I didn't realize there were that many crazy people in the world.
Right? Well, I heard that he was embarrassed about his mom telling her about his past that he was trying to hide. And once it was out, I think he was just humiliated and decided, I don't want to do this anymore. That's kind of what it sounded like.
What a child.
I know. Right about June, he started buying guns. One each month, as California has a law that you can only buy one gun every 30 days. Then in September, Bruce asked a neighbor who owned a costume shop if she could customize a Santa Claus suit for him. He's a big guy, about 6'4", and weighed 275 pounds, so she was happy to help him out. He also requested extra compartments be sewn into the suit, because he claimed he wanted to be super jolly for the kids. He told her he needed the outfit for a Christmas party, so she rushed it and got it done for him. He paid a $200 deposit and an additional $100 plus a $20 tip when he picked it up. Then, on December 18th, 2008, the couple's divorce was finalized.
He has no problem paying for things like that.
Yeah. It seems silly with the kind of money he makes that, he paid her a $20 tip, but sounds like more than he's paid out in a long time.
Mm.
Now, Sylvia came from a large family that was really, really close. Every year on Christmas Eve, as was their tradition, the Ortega family gathered at the parents' home for a big annual Christmas celebration with about 25 family members. Sylvia was really looking forward to this as her year had been pretty rough, having to deal with the divorce and constantly battling with Bruce. Naturally, Sylvia was at the party with her children, siblings, their children, and elderly parents. Even Bruce's mother had been invited, but she felt ill that day, so she ended up staying home. That evening, the family enjoyed a beautiful meal, played games, and had a wonderful time together. The adults played their annual poker tournament where they all enjoyed the friendly competition.
I want to go to that Christmas party. That sounds like a lot of fun.
When Bruce left his home that fateful day, a neighbor and his son saw him pulling out of his driveway, oddly enough in a rental vehicle while he left his Cadillac Escalade and Hummer SUV parked in the driveway. The neighbor waved at him, wished him a Merry Christmas, and curiously asked where he was going dressed as Santa. Bruce said he was going to a Christmas party. He wished them a Merry Christmas and happily drove off. The neighbor said he did not behave strangely or seem upset in any way. Bruce had also signed up to be an usher for midnight mass at his church that evening, like he had done for several years. All his fellow church friends thought he was a great guy. Assumedly, he signed up to be an usher to have an alibi should he need one that night. Now it was time for him to put his carefully thought-out plan into action. He had rented 2 cars from 2 different businesses. In one car, he loaded up food, paper maps of the USA and Mexico, a laptop computer, a desktop computer, cell phone, and other items typically packed for a road trip. Then he parked that vehicle right in front of his ex-wife's divorce attorney's home.
All that computer stuff for a road trip?
Yeah. Even a desktop computer?
Especially a desktop computer.
Yeah, that's a little over the top. Dude was not planning on being able to buy one of those wherever he was going. He took the second car and loaded up 4 9mm semi-automatic handguns, tons of ammo, and a homemade flamethrower that used ethanol, which is racing car fuel that burns clear and much hotter than regular gasoline. He then drove that car to his ex-in-law's home in the city of Covina, California.
Wait a minute. He made his own flamethrower?
He's an engineer.
Oh,
he made
right.
his own flamethrower.
The man is up to serious no good.
Yeah. He walked up to the home at about 11:30 p.m. He knew the family would be there and also expected his own mother, who betrayed him, to be there, all waiting for midnight to ring in Christmas Day together. He had 4 weapons in his Santa suit, along with all the ammo stuffed into the many extra pockets that he had sewn in. He carefully wrapped the homemade flamethrower in Christmas paper and put it on a dolly so he could easily roll it to the door. It looked like a great big present from Santa.
So ultimately, when all this goes down, if he tries to say that it was not premeditated, that just goes right out the flipping window.
It would go out the window. Then he knocked on the door, and his 8-year-old niece, Katrina, answered it very excitedly, thinking that Santa had shown up with a great big gift. The little girl was giddy, and Santa actually picked her up and held her for a moment. Then he put her down, pulled out a handgun, and shot her in the face.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Oh.
And just so everybody knows, she does live. She does live.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, but just really envision that. Envision that scene.
8-year-old child.
Yeah, and he holds her first, which I think is a total mind screw, and then shoots her in the face.
Psychopath.
It just made it that much more vicious.
Somebody needs to shoot him in the face.
When the rest of the family heard the shot, they ran to see what was going on, and one of Sylvia's brothers recognized Bruce and yelled, "Run!" to the rest of the family. Bruce shot her 2 brothers immediately, and although they were injured, they still tried to charge him, but he shot them again. The adults who had been playing poker were cornered and couldn't run. They tried to hide underneath the dining table with nowhere else to go. So Bruce walked over and started shooting them one by one, execution style. Many of the children had been in the backyard playing when Uncle Bruce entered, and they ran and thankfully were able to escape. I think there was about 13 kids that escaped.
Well, that was a good thing.
Yeah. In the meantime, 8-year-old Katrina's mother, Leticia, Sylvia's sister, rushed toward the door to help her injured daughter, and after grabbing her, which ended up saving the little girl's life, Leticia ran out of the house to save her own life as well. She went to a neighbor's house and called 911. There's actually a 911 recording of Leticia's phone call, and you can hear gunshots and people screaming in the background while she's desperately trying to explain what was happening to her family. It's really sad. You can tell she's shocked. She can't get like a full thought out. She keeps going back and forth between her daughter and what's happening at the house. It's like she's got all these things on her mind and she's totally overwhelmed. It's really sad.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it really is. After killing several family members, in the middle of the carnage, Bruce unwrapped the big gift that he brought for the family and had built himself. He sprayed the home using the flamethrower loaded with ethanol and was going to light the house on fire. But what he hadn't counted on was that the family had 2 fireplaces lit for the holiday. So before he could light the fuel, it burst into flames and not only lit the house on fire, but lit Bruce up as well. Some of the fuel spilled onto his sleeves and ignited, causing 3rd-degree burns, and the house got so hot that the Santa suit fabric melted into his skin. Get freaking used to the burn, Bruce, because that's just a teaser for what you'll be facing for eternity. Justice served.
Good. I'm glad he burned. I know that's probably not politically correct or morally correct, but you know what? You get what you put out there.
Well, he's not dead. We're going to keep going. But yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm glad he was in pain, and I'm glad that happened. He had planned to massacre the entire family, then burn the house down along with the evidence, and escape. He ended up killing 9 people that night. But now that he unexpectedly burned himself, he ran out the door and took off. Hey, Bruce, you can run, but your arms are still on fire. The house did burn down. It took 80 firefighters over 90 minutes to put it out due to the racing fuel used to incinerate the home.
90 minutes.
90 minutes.
You know, and this is where he has to go to the hospital. How the heck is he going to explain that?
Well, we're going to keep going, smarty pants.
I'm sorry.
Bruce removed his Santa suit and ended up at his brother's house about 30 minutes away, where it's believed that after assessing his injuries, he realized he was too badly burned to make a run for it. So rather than man up and be held accountable for his reprehensible actions, he put one of those many guns he had with him into his mouth and blew half of his head away. His brother found him dead on his couch a few hours later with $17,000 in cash strapped to his body. This is definitely not the worst thing he did that day, but what an animal to kill himself in his brother's house and traumatize him like that. Yet another victim.
So another way for him not to, like you said, be responsible for his actions.
Not to man up.
Not to man up. Another way to traumatize more people.
Yeah, and this is somebody he loves.
Yeah. I mean, he was even a narcissist to the very end.
Oh, yeah, till the end. When the vehicle Bruce had fled in was found by the police, Bruce had rigged it so that if anyone lifted up the Santa suit he left in the front seat, the car would explode and take even more innocent lives on Christmas Day. Fortunately, authorities saw the trap and ended up safely detonating the vehicle themselves.
Good for them. And that's what they're trained for.
I can't even imagine how he's thinking this through. Even when he thought he would be gone, he still wanted to kill innocent people. That is a black heart.
Do we ever know why?
He's just insane. He's just an insane man. None of this makes sense. None of these people did anything to him. Even his ex-wife, he never paid her anything. And he's upset about it.
And wants to kill his own mother because he believed she betrayed him?
Yep. Obviously, Bruce never had the chance to go to his ex-wife's attorney's home and murder him and his family which was definitely the plan since that's where he had parked his second well-supplied getaway car. So he was going to stop there on his way out and do God knows what to that guy's family, and then take off in the second car.
Well, fortunately, he got burned.
I think it goes without saying that Bruce Pardo was a soulless individual. His inhumanity stemmed from one thing, his extreme obsession with money. He loved money more than he loved his only son, more than he loved a beautiful fiancée who waited for him at the altar full of hope and dreams, more than he loved a loyal brother who will be forever scarred, and more than he loved his own wife and her 3 beautiful children whose lives he devastated. He loved money so much, he planned to kill his own mother and an entire family just to get revenge for money he never even paid out. Money was the most important thing, and not surprisingly, he died with a buttload of it strapped to his dead body. They say you can't take it with you, but this narcissistic scumbag certainly tried. Good riddance, Bruce Pardo. May you burn for eternity and in debt.
Wow.
That's how I feel about that.
And I was thinking the same thing. You can't take it with you.
He tried.
Hopefully his brother took it off his body before he took him away.
I wouldn't even want it. Wouldn't want anything to do with him. Take it.
True.
Yeah, it's disgusting. He's a disgusting human being. I'm glad it didn't work out exactly the way he wanted it to, and I'm glad that in the process of trying to kill so many, he ended up killing himself. They said there was pieces of the Santa suit melted into his skin, and his arms were burned. But all over his body, the Santa suit had chunks melted into his skin.
Ew.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for another disheartening story.
You're not going to tell people if they enjoyed it or not?
Don't start with me.
Hope you guys enjoyed this insanely devastating story.
Merry Christmas. Ho,
Merry
ho, ho.
Christmas from us to you.
That's right. Well, thank you for listening. We hope you liked, appreciated, enjoyed another grim bit of coal.
Yes.
Remember to take care and don't forget to let your imaginations run wild.
Bye.
Bye.
We just want to thank you all for sharing your time with us. And if you'd like to send in your creepy little grim bits, we would love to hear your personal stories, interests, and suggestions. Please email them to grimwitwithdimwits@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at grimwitwithdimwits, Twitter at grimwitwithdimwits, and Facebook, Grimwit with Dimwits. Join us every Monday for new episodes, and feel free to share us with your grim-loving friends.
We would really appreciate if you would take a minute to rate and review. 5-star ratings go a long way and would really help us out. Until then, we would love it if you'd come back next week to delve with us into the strange and unusual things we just can't wrap our skulls around.